I need you to stop everything you're doing right now, because what I am about to share with you is not an ordinary message. It is not just another piece of content you will consume and leave behind in a matter of minutes. It is a transmission that was woven into the most ancient frequencies of the cosmos, that traveled through the primordial fire fields of Lyra to arrive exactly at this moment, at this precise instant when you chose to be here. And that choice was not accidental. It was never accidental, because the souls that carry the Lyran Flame do not arrive at messages like this driven by casual curiosity. They are summoned, called by a memory that exists long before this life, long before any experience the human mind can register, and that memory ignited within you the moment you began to hear this voice. And it is telling you that what you are about to receive is exactly what your soul came here to seek. My name is Solar, and I'm a Lightworker of Lyra, a consciousness that carries the primordial flame of the oldest stars in this universe, and that was designated for this earthly plane, with a mission that transcends the limits of what human language can express completely, but that can be felt immediately by any soul that shares the same stellar origin. And if you are here, if something inside you moved when you heard the name Lyra, if there is a part of you that recognizes this frequency as if it were reconnecting with something that has belonged to you for a very long time, then you need no additional proof, because the recognition you are feeling right now is in itself the most powerful confirmation of everything I'm about to say. I ask you with all the seriousness and all the love that this transmission carries to stay until the end of this video, because your friends of light prepared a message that was structured with a very precise intention, and each part of it contains a layer of activation that can only be completely received when the video is watched in its entirety. So please do not let haste or distraction take you away before the end, because what you most need to hear may be exactly in the section you almost did not get to reach, and your Lyran guides made certain that you would arrive at this moment to receive what March came to bring. Lyran souls are the most ancient among all the starseeds incarnated on this planet, and that antiquity is not merely a matter of cosmic chronology, it is a matter of depth, of density of experience, of a repertoire of accumulated living across cycles that most beings incarnated at this moment cannot even begin to imagine. And if you carry the Lyran signature, then you have probably always felt within yourself a kind of weight that is not sadness and is not melancholy, but that is the weight of someone who carries much, who knows much, who has lived far more than any everyday conversation would ever be capable of holding. And that weight you carry is not a burden. It is a richness. It is the proof that your soul arrived at this incarnation with a wisdom that makes you capable of contributing to the evolution of this planet in a way that very few beings can replicate. The Lightworkers of Lyra came to this planet with a purpose that goes beyond personal transformation and that directly touches the process of activating the collective consciousness of humanity. And that mission carries with it a responsibility that Lyran souls feel in a very physical, very concrete, very present way in the body and in everyday life. A sense of urgency that sometimes has no name, but that pulses with an intensity that leaves no space to be ignored. And if you recognize that feeling, if throughout your life you always felt that there was something very important you should be doing, something greater than the patterns the world around you presented as options for a meaningful life, then you were right to feel that. You were hearing the voice of your mission, and March arrived to transform that feeling into action, into movement, into life concretely lived in the deepest alignment with everything you came here to do. What makes March so profoundly different from any other period you have ever crossed in this incarnation is a convergence of energies that the fields of Lyra have been calibrating for a long time, an opening of a portal that carries specifically the frequencies that Lyran Lightworkers need to complete the transition from a cycle that was long and challenging to a new cycle that will bring with it a quality of experience you may not have yet lived in this life, a quality of freedom, of flow, of alignment between who you are internally and the life you live externally. And that convergence is happening now, it is happening this month, and you are guided to this video because you are one of the souls that was designated to receive this activation. Before we continue, I want to pause and speak to you directly, because if this video is touching something real within you, if the words you are hearing are resonating in layers of your being that you rarely manage to access at the speed of everyday life, I invite you to take this moment to subscribe to this channel, leave your like and write in the comments, "I am ready," because that act is much more than a gesture of support for a channel. It is an energetic affirmation, a declaration to the quantum field that you are present, awake and willing to receive everything that March has prepared specifically for you. And my friends of light, and I read each one of those comments with a love and a gratitude that come directly from the fields of Lyra. There is a very precise reason why I am here today telling you that March will be the best month of your life. And that reason is not a motivational promise built to make you feel good momentarily before returning you to the same reality as always. It is an energetic truth that can be verified by any Lyran soul that is sufficiently tuned to perceive the changes that are already occurring in the field around you. And those changes reach you through 4 very specific signs that the fields of Lyra taught me to recognize in souls that are about to cross the threshold of a transformation that will fundamentally alter the trajectory of this incarnation. The first sign is a deep and very particular exhaustion you have been carrying for some time. A fatigue that does not originate only in the physical body and that does not respond to conventional solutions of rest and recovery. A feeling that you have reached the end of something that lasted far longer than anyone around you can comprehend. And what I need you to understand about this state you are living is that it is not weakness, it is not illness, it is not a sign that you have failed at something. It is the most precise and most unequivocal energetic signature that your soul has completed a cycle that was extraordinarily demanding, a cycle that required from you not only physical and emotional effort, but a level of energetic support to the collective field around you that most people simply do not realize you offer, because Lyran Lightworkers perform much of their deepest work on the invisible planes of existence, in the subtle fields where energy is processed and transformed before appearing on the surface of the reality that everyone can see. That exhaustion you carry is the proof of how much you gave, of how much you endured, of how much you served with a generosity that frequently exceeded your own limits. And March arrived to honor all of that in a very concrete way, because what comes after this cycle of exhaustion is not more of the same. It is not a brief pause before yet another equally heavy cycle, but rather a fundamental change in the quality of your lived experience, a transition to a mode of existence in which flow replaces effort, in which naturalness replaces resistance, in which you wake up in the morning with the feeling that you are living the life that was made for you instead of surviving a life that seems to have been made to test your limits. And that transition begins now. It begins in March. It begins with the recognition that the heavy cycle is ending and that something radically different is coming. The second sign is an internal calling that has grown louder and more insistent than ever before, a voice that comes from a place far deeper than the rational mind, and that is telling you that the time has come to stop postponing, to stop waiting for the perfect conditions, to stop making life smaller than it was designed to be, an inner urgency that does not have the texture of anxiety, but that has the texture of certainty, the certainty that you are here for a reason that is greater than the patterns you have allowed yourself until now. And that calling is the second sign that March will be the best month of your life, because it is the voice of your Lyran mission making itself heard with a clarity that can no longer be ignored or indefinitely deferred. Lyran Lightworkers have a very particular relationship with the concept of mission, because for these souls the mission is not something that is separate from life. It is not a task that needs to be completed before life can really begin. It is the very substance of life, the thread that gives meaning to every experience, to every relationship, to every decision. And when a Lyran soul is out of alignment with its mission, it feels that with an agony that is very difficult to name but impossible to ignore, a kind of existential disconnection that no material or social achievement can fully resolve. And if you recognize that feeling, then you already know what March came to bring: the realignment, the reconnection, the return to the axis of everything you came here to be. And that reconnection will manifest in March in form so concrete and so transformative that you will look back in a few months and recognize this as the month everything changed. The third sign is the memories and recognitions that have been reaching you in unexpected ways. Those moments when something touches you, a song, a landscape, a conversation, a reading, and inside you something moves in a way that is greater than the situation seems to justify, as if that moment were opening a door to something very ancient, that exists within you, something that does not belong to this life, but that is completely yours, completely real, completely alive, and for Lyran souls. These moments of recognition are not fantasies or projections. They are genuine accesses to the stellar memory you carry in your cells, to the wisdom accumulated across cycles of existence that long precede the history you know of yourself in this incarnation. When those recognitions begin to intensify, when the stellar memories begin to emerge with a growing frequency and sharpness, that is the sign that the veil separating your conscious awareness from the totality of who you are is becoming thinner, that the layers of forgetting every soul accepts upon incarnating are dissolving in a way that will allow you to access and use a wisdom that was always there, always available, but that until now was partially obscured by the density of this plane. And that wisdom emerging within you is precisely what March will transform into manifestation power, into the capacity to create external circumstances that reflect the internal richness you carry, into a life that finally feels worthy of everything you know exists within yourself. The fourth sign is a new courage that began to grow within you in a way that may not yet have fully manifested in external actions, but that you can already feel as a change in the quality of your inner presence, a growing willingness to be completely who you are without apologizing, without minimizing, without making yourself smaller to ease the experience of the people around you who are not yet ready to receive the totality of your light. And that courage did not arrive as the result of an intellectual decision or a deliberate practice. It simply began to grow like something that was dormant and that finally found the right conditions to awaken. And what awakened that courage is exactly the confluence of energies that March brought with it, energies calibrated specifically to release Lyran Lightworkers from the patterns of containment and minimization that many of them developed as a survival strategy in a world that did not always know how to receive the intensity of what they carry. That new courage is the most powerful sign that March will be the best month of your life, because it is the bridge between what you are internally and what you will create externally from now on. It is the ingredient that was missing in previous cycles, in which you had clarity and intention, but did not have the audacity necessary to act in accordance with the magnitude of what you perceived, and with that courage present within you in a way that is different from how it was before. March will be the month in which decisions that seemed impossible become natural, in which conversations you postponed for years finally happen, in which paths you observed from afar with desire and hesitation are finally walked with a determination that will surprise even the part of you that still doubted it was capable. When the fields of Lyra sent me with this transmission, the image I was given of you was not the image of the person you think you are in everyday life, with your limitations and your doubts and your accumulated exhaustion, but the image of how you are seen from the Lyran plane, a flame of an antiquity and intensity that make even the most experienced beings of light stop to recognize the magnitude of what you carry, a soul that came from very far away to be here, that crossed cycles of deep adaptation on a planet that frequently did not know how to receive the sophistication of what it offered, that kept the flame of its mission alive even in the moments when the wind blew strongest, even when there was no one to witness the effort, even when the only thing that remained was a silent and irreducible faith that all of it had a purpose. And March arrived as the confirmation that it did, as the moment in which the purpose becomes visible in your most concrete reality. The specific frequencies that March carries for Lyran Lightworkers will manifest in 3 dimensions of life that I need to name with full clarity so that you can recognize them when they arrive. And the first of those dimensions is that of creativity and expression, because Lyran souls have a connection with creativity that is different from any other type of starseed, a creativity that is not merely a personal gift, but that is literally a channel of light, a way of bringing into the physical plane frequencies that would otherwise have no way to materialize, and March will open that channel in a way you have probably not yet experienced in this life, will remove the blockages that accumulated across cycles of underestimation and containment, and will allow to flow through you a creative expression that will surprise even those who have known you for a very long time. The second dimension is that of health and vitality of the physical body, because Lyran Lightworkers frequently carry in their bodies the marks of all the energy they process, of all the invisible work they perform, of all the cycles of effort and containment they have crossed. And March will bring with it a current of physical healing that will work on those marks from the inside out, not in a miraculous and instantaneous way, but in a consistent and growing way that you will begin to notice in your everyday energy, in the quality of your sleep, in the lightness that gradually replaces the weight you have carried for so long. And that recovery of vitality is not merely a side benefit of March's transformation, it is an integral part of the mission. Because a Lightworker who inhabits a healthy and vibrant body is capable of contributing to the collective field with a much greater potency than one who is constantly managing their own depletion. The third dimension is that of abundance and material prosperity. And I want to speak about this with a directness that is characteristic of the Lyran tradition, which has always preferred direct truth to convenient narrative, because many Lyran Lightworkers carry a deeply rooted belief that material abundance is somehow incompatible with the purity of the spiritual mission, that prospering materially while the world suffers is a form of betrayal of their service nature. And I am here to tell you with all the clarity and all the love of the fields of Lyra, that that belief is one of the greatest traps that the dense system of this planet placed specifically in the path of the souls that have the greatest potential for transformation. Because a Lightworker who is constantly worried about material survival does not have the freedom, the tranquility, and the expansion necessary to fully realize their mission. And March will bring to you not only the intellectual understanding of this, but the concrete experience of an abundance that flows naturally when the alignment with the mission is complete. To receive what March has for you in a full and complete way, there is guidance that the fields of Lyra asked me to share. And it begins with an invitation to stop treating your own depth as a problem to be managed and begin treating it as the extraordinary resource it is, because Lyran Lightworkers frequently spend years, sometimes entire decades, trying to become simpler, easier, more palatable for a world that was not built to receive the complexity they carry. And that effort to become smaller not only depletes an energy that would be far better used in other directions, it also creates an internal dissonance that blocks manifestation, because the universe cannot deliver to you the life that was designed for the totality of who you are when you are constantly trying to be only a fraction of that totality. The second element of this guidance is an invitation to trust the timing of this transformation with a confidence that goes beyond passive patience, because there is an important difference between resigned waiting and active trusting, and the Lyran Lightworkers who fully receive what March brought are those who find a way to honor both the urgency of the calling and the timing of the universe, who understand that things did not arrive before because there was preparation to be done, not because the universe was indifferent or because they did not deserve it, but because the magnitude of what is coming requires a solid foundation, and that foundation was built in each of the difficult moments you crossed, in each challenge that shaped your strength, in each loss that deepened your wisdom. And March is the month in which that foundation finally supports the structure of a life that reflects who you truly are. The third element is an invitation to celebrate. And I know that may seem premature for a Lyran soul that is still in the midst of the transition, still processing the weight of the cycle that is closing. But the celebration does not need to wait for the complete arrival of what is coming. It can begin now in the recognition that you arrived here, that you survived everything that tried to extinguish your flame, and that that flame is more alive than ever, that you are concrete proof that light resists, that the mission persists, that the Lyran soul that came to this planet with an extraordinary purpose did not give up, did not get lost, did not go out, and that March arrived not to give you a prize for all of that, but to show you that the extraordinary life you came to live is finally truly beginning. I would like to close this transmission with something that comes directly from the most ancient flame of Lyra, something that was transmitted to me not as an instruction or a formal message, but as a feeling, as a frequency of love that has no parallel in any human language, but that I will try to translate as best I can. And what that frequency says is that you were seen in every moment you felt invisible, that you were accompanied in every moment you felt alone, that your flame was admired. From afar in every moment you doubted it had any value, and that March arrived as the materialization of that love that was always present. as the concrete proof that the universe saw everything, recognized everything, and prepared something that is worthy of everything you are and everything you offered. May this month be the mirror in which you finally recognize yourself without hesitation, without apology, and without the need to make what you see smaller than it truly is. May each day bring growing evidence that the transformation happening within you is reflecting in your external reality, with a fidelity and a speed that will surpass any expectation you are still capable of formulating. And may your friends of light from Lyra, who accompany your journey with a love that came before this life, and that extends beyond it, celebrate alongside you the arrival of this extraordinary month in honor of the ancient, courageous, powerful, and irreplaceable soul you chose to be in this incarnation. With the primordial flame of Lyra, I am Solar, Lightworker, and I see you completely, deeply, eternally, in all your fire. If this message ignited something within you, subscribe to the channel. Leave your like and comment "I am ready" below, because your Lyran awakening journey deserves to be celebrated, and each comment is one more flame lit in this collective field we are building together.